Hello and welcome everyone. I am here today to run you through how to use Telescript's NDI monitors and decoders. Now, if you have the earlier version of these devices which were sold prior to 2024, please take a look at our channel for the video specific to those devices, as the interface and functionality of those are different from the ones we will be working with today. So now, once you have your monitor plugged in and powered on, as well as the Ethernet cable plugged into your network, open up a browser to access the device's interface. Now, we do recommend Google Chrome, as it will enable you to see the device's previews in the interface, as you'll see in just a moment. Now, every Telescript NDI device has a default IP address, which is 192.168.1.168. So we're going to enter that IP address into our browser and you will land on the login page. The default user is admin and the password is admin as well. Then click login and you will be brought to the device's interface. Now here you can see there's a lot of nothing going on right now, but we're going to change that in just a minute. What you do see here is a preview window on the left and an output window on the right, and an empty area for sources here at the bottom. To add sources, we need to use either the red Discover button or the Add tab. Now, the Add tab allows you to add sources like SRT as long as you have all of the relevant information on those streams. Now, the red Discover button is your gateway to all the NDI devices on your network, and that's what we're going to work with today. So if you click Discover, this window will open and you can see we have several devices here in the list. Now, all these devices are computers that I have set up on my network and are outputting NDI via NDI screen capture. But this device here is our monitor, and what this is telling us is that the IP address the network has assigned to this monitor is 192.168.1.3. Now, if all you have is one monitor on your network to work with, then you can easily use either the default IP or the assigned IP to access the interface. But if you have more than one, it is easier to identify each specific monitor or decoder by using its assigned IP address rather than its default. Now, one other way to access the device's interface, outside of using the IP addresses, is to open up NDI Studio Monitor and click on the drop-down for NDI devices on the network. Look for the Telescript device and select it. Now, in the lower right, you'll find a gear icon. Click that and you will be brought to the device's login screen. Now that we've covered logging into the device, now we can add some sources to display. Now, if we click the Discover button, you will see all the NDI devices on the network. Click the ones you want to add to your list and click the Add button at the bottom. You'll get a confirmation that you've added them, and then you can close this window. Now all you need to do is drag and drop either one of these sources into your output or your preview windows. Now, if your source is an NDI HX stream, as long as your network can handle the data, you will be able to see a preview of that stream in these windows. But regardless of whether you can see the preview in the window or not, your monitor should now be displaying the stream that you've dragged to the output window. You will not be able to see previews of sources that are full NDI streams, only NDI HX streams. And now we have a preview going in the preview window, and you can see both of them are running. Now, if you want to know exactly what the specs are of these streams, if you look in the preview window on the upper left corner of that source preview window, you're going to see a bunch of text in gray. And within that text, it's going to give you the IP address of the device, it's going to give you the bit rate, and it's also going to give you a video codec. If you see H.264 or H.265, you know that this stream is an NDI HX stream. If it was a full NDI stream, it would say full NDI here. And on the output side, if you'd like to see the same data, all you need to do is click these lines here at the bottom left of the output window, and you will see the same set of data for what's going out on the output channel. And just keep in mind, if you do see full NDI as your video codec, you will not be seeing previews in either of these windows. Now, all of Telescript's prompter monitors can handle all resolutions up to 1080. The Telescript does offer 24-inch and 22-inch 4K displays that will handle 4K resolutions. Now I mention this because if you're trying to push a 4K stream to your display, the 1080 displays cannot handle it. So all you need to do now is make sure that your output resolution is set to 1080. So let me show you how to do that. If you look in the top bar of the output window, you see a gear icon. If you click that, you'll get an output window configuration menu, and do the little drop down on the resolution, and you'll see a bunch of resolutions that you can select from. Just select your 1920 by 1080p and click set, and now your 4K stream that's coming in via NDI is now being output to the monitor as a 1080 signal. So now let's talk about some of the output configurations that you can do with these devices. Now if you look in the lower right of the output and the preview windows, you see a bunch of boxes. In the preview window, you have an option to select from either 1 or 16 different output configurations. That means if you have 16 devices that you want to plug into any of these previews, you can do that many. And once you've decided on a configuration, now all you need to do is just drag and drop the sources into the boxes. But on the output side, we have something a little bit different. If you notice in the lower right, you have the circle with the 3 dots. If you click that, it's going to open up a mode window. Now, if you notice in the mode window, there's only one setup in here. But if you want to add a configuration that'll have multiple output, just click Add Modes, and you'll get this little Add Modes box that come up. You've got a bunch of presets that you can select from. And if you select them, you'll see that now you've got that many windows in the configuration area. And you can adjust these sizing wise. You can either click on them and use the little handles to drag them, or you can use the slider that you see on the right hand side of the screen. And you can move them around into any position that you want and play around with the sizing in whichever way you want. But once you're done, just click OK, and it's going to be added to the modes window. Now in order to activate it, you'll notice that the one window is highlighted, and then if you want our test one to go out, all you need to do is click on it, and you'll see that's highlighted now as well, and click OK, and you'll see it's now added in the lower right as a configuration that you can select from. So all you need to do is click it, and you've got a source in one of them, and then just drag a source to the other window, and now you have a dual configuration going out to your prompter monitor. Now, there are several other things that you can do with this device, like connecting it to an NDI discovery server if you're on that level, and attaching an external Telescript tally to work with an NDI switcher. But the last thing I do want to talk about is the networking section of this interface. And in order to get to that networking section, just click on the Network tab right at the top bar of the interface, and you'll be brought to the Network Interface menu. Now, in general, assigning a static IP address to these types of devices is a very common practice in the networking of devices. Now, this is the area of the interface where you can do this. You'll see that there are 2 areas in this section. This section is for the default IP address that I talked about earlier, the 192.168.1.168 IP address. Now, we highly recommend not changing this to anything else other than 192.168.1.168. But this IP you can change to be a static IP address instead of having the network dictate the IP address of the device. So simply select the Set button, use the drop down to select Manual instead of DHCP, and a new menu will open up. Now in this window, in the IP line, this is where you're going to type in the IP address that you want to assign to this device. Now keep in mind, once you assign a static IP address, this address will be held onto the device for as long as you leave it that way. The only way to change it is to go back in and change it back to DHCP, or you reset the device completely. One other thing I need you to keep in mind is the IP address that you choose, it should not be assigned to any other device on the same network, or else you're going to wind up with some IP address conflicts. But once you are set, just click OK and your IP address will be set. Now, depending on how you're logged into the device, you may lose connectivity with the user interface because you've changed the IP address. So then all you're going to need to do is just close this browser tab, open up a new one, and type in the new IP address that you just assigned, and you'll be brought right back into the interface. So all the information that you've seen today, as well as information on all the other features that are in these devices, They're in the product manual that you should have gotten with your device when you purchased it. If you have not yet purchased, you can always go to our website, telescript.com, to learn a little bit more about these devices. But either way, if you've got any questions, you can give us a call, 201-767-6733, or you can email us at info@telescript.com. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.